It's called day. Good evening. Welcome to the East Bridgewater Finance Committee meeting for 3/11/25. That's March 11th, 2025. We have with us tonight EBCAM, Police Department, and DPW will be here also. So right now, Russ, welcome. You want to kind of walk us through your budget?
Well, it's a very basic budget. We're doing roughly a 3% increase across the board just to allow for the possibility of tariffs, because electronics especially are affected by imports, microchips, all that kind of fun stuff. Pretty bare bones. We're not really looking for any major increases or any major changes or anything. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Well, your vehicle maintenance is really low.
It is. The vehicle, the van, really doesn't require too much maintenance because we do have it now in a garage, so we keep it safe. Other than the generator that needs occasional maintenance and any kind of things like that. We take it out for the football games, we take it out for the spring concert with Dale and the Duds, for special events, the Christmas parade, those kind of things, but for the most part, it's housed.
And Charlie, maybe you could help with this. I see he has on here indirect health insurance.
Right, so that they need to fund out of the enterprise fund.
Oh, okay.
It's for their employees.
Okay. So this is all run by the enterprise fund, right?
Yes, though, we're, for this year, yes, we're going to, at some point later this year, we'll need to have some discussion because of that. The town is going to have, if we want to continue to have EBCAM at the level that we're doing it, sooner rather than later, we're going to have to start subsidizing out of the tax rate. Because we are, obviously, cord cutting is widespread, so the income that we're getting from the 5% surcharge, the Comcast on its bills for the cable subscribers is falling less and less versus the expenses that we have for EBCAM. And so we're getting a gap. We have a fund balance that we can use to offset that, but that's not an infinite amount of money. And what my hope is that we can start on a small basis, but then increasing for the next several years, not this coming year, 26, but 27 on, to start subsidizing at a certain level, because we're going to either, we'll run out of money and have to cut down or have a sudden increase in what we'd be using out of the tax rate to do this. And given the amount of, when we had signed the cable agreement, nobody was using YouTube or anything like that for something like this. Everybody who's, whether cable cutting or not, has internet access. They can now watch all these meetings via YouTube rather than through Comcast. So there's a benefit that non-cable subscribers are getting out of this. And so my feeling is that everybody should be ponying up a little bit of money out of the tax rate for this program.
Okay. All right. Well, it's pretty clear cut to me. I mean, if you folks have any questions, I just...
Just one question. You mentioned the tariffs.
Yes.
But then the new equipment is flat year over year.
Well, we're doing okay right now, so we're not looking to do any sort of capital adds.
Okay.
We're just looking to maintain what we've got.
Okay.
The last big upgrade we had was last year with our control room. We got brand new equipment and it's working great.
Excellent.
Remember that. Okay. All right, I don't really have any questions. This
don't
is
either.
pretty straightforward. Anybody else? Gary?
No.
Gary? All right, thanks, Russ.
No problem. If you guys ever want to come down and see our facility, we're just down the hill.
Yeah.
Door 27, I'll be glad to show you around the equipment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie, do we have the reserve fund transfer for the central school, for the steam line?
I don't
All right, well, with that, Chief, you guys want to come up? We'll do the police department right now. Okay.
I got it.
Make sure I have
I don't need
Made it a
a,
little bit bigger so you can
I don't
read
need a
it.
paper
You
one,
don't-
I have it
you're
on
all
here.
good?
Yeah, I
Thank you,
got
though.
it. Screen, yeah. I have it, I'll take it a picture, so take notes.
Made it a little bigger for us older people.
I could have put it up on the screen, but
Well, watch this, I can use the zoom feature.
You're so fancy.
there you go.
I can pinch.
Oh, I have one that you can pinch too, but.
Okay.
all the
Thank
same.
you all for having us tonight.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
All right, so, we've been working with the police, and George and I had met, and then we've had subsequent conversations. And one of the big concerns is around staffing, et cetera. And he did send along a letter of impact. I just got clarification that the changes that are on the budget that we have right now includes keeping the officers. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So,
Which is what the ask was at the end of the letter.
well,
Yeah.
after I read the letter, I said, I want to make sure that this maintains the
Yeah.
staffing levels.
Yeah, yeah.
And, hopefully we'll see as we get further into the budget season if anything else needs to happen. But, that's what we have to work on right now. We've also explored the lease of vehicles versus buying them every year, which was a little bit of a savings. Well, it would have been a lot more savings if we actually funded it appropriate last year, so, because we funded at 125, they're coming in at 150. So we saved the 25 and another 7, but we would have saved 50-something if
Oh.
we had funded it properly. But, so this kind of keeps, my impression, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong when we go through this helps us keep our staffing levels. There's a lot of mandatory training that's come about this year compared to other years.
Correct.
And we'll be able to touch on that a little bit. But we've gone into some great detail looking at this. So this, and I'm just gonna say it because this is nothing's final yet until we get our final picture, but this was, as, I would say, as trimmed down as possible, without actually interfering with the safety and protection of the town and the officers.
Correct.
Coverage. So, all right, so if you want to talk about some of these mandated things, I think we all understand the contracted steps and all
Yep,
that stuff, right? But it'd be interesting to, understand some of these mandated things that you're now required to do, and some things that popped up, like body cams this year. So we didn't fund it last year, and this year it's $6,500. But, so if you could take us through some of that, the non-salary stuff at this point, that would be helpful for everybody.
As far as the mandated, back in 2020, with the police reform, which are the Chapter 253 Acts of 2020, an act relative to justice, equality, accountability, and law enforcement in Commonwealth, they created POST for Massachusetts, which is the Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission. We never had that before. We had the Criminal Justice Training Council that would run the trainings for us, but there was never a set standard across the board for all police officers in Massachusetts. They pretty much did what the Criminal Justice Training Council would tell them to do, and POST is bouncing off of that. But what POST is also doing is making sure that all the trainings are being done. Before it'd be like, okay, well, we couldn't afford to do this year, we'll do it next year, no more. POST certifies police officers, and unless you have these trainings, you're not getting certified, you can't work as a police officer in Massachusetts. This is what came about back in 2020. In 2021, they conditionally certified everybody who was a police officer, And then moving forward, they're checking all of their training records to make sure they're keeping up on all their trainings. They went back as far as 2022 and all the in-service trainings to make sure that everything was in order with these officers that are police officers now. And anybody new, when you're coming on now, you have the 26-week academy that you have to do, but there's a lot more to it. You have to have the mental health check, you have to have the physical check.
Yeah.
You have to pass all these things. Just to become a police officer, you have to pass a test, you have to pass the background, and the background has to be done by certified background investigators that we have because we've sent our officers through these trainings. So we're able to do that ourselves and save that cost. But that's just for becoming one. Now, when you are one, now you have these in-service trainings that you have to
Right.
do. And these in-service trainings, you have to have a mandatory 40 hours of in-service training. Some of it they provide, some of it we have to do. You have to be a certified MPTC instructor to teach it. And if you're not a certified MPTC instructor to teach it, it doesn't count. And you have to teach their curriculum when you're doing it. We do have officers trained to do that, especially in firearms, use of force, defensive tactics, taser. We're all certified in those fields to do that. So we're able to do that, but we have to take officers off the road when we do it, to do it, or backfill their positions so we have coverage on the town, and people are still out there covering the streets and doing our jobs while we're training. So that's kind of where this gets into now. And there's also more that's coming because the state also got in line with the National Fire Protection Act 3000 program with their active shooter hostile events response. The ASHER framework is what the whole state is using. And part of that is you have to have everybody trained the same. And what they've done, they've lined themselves up with the Texas State University ALERT program, which is the Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training Programs, and they've lined themselves up with those. They're putting themselves in line with it and using those programs. So in the academy, they're using the Level 1 active shooter program, teaching that as part of the academy. Once you get out of the academy, they want everybody to, police and fire included, all dispatchers, to be trained in active attack integrated response. We started, when I first started, Columbine happened after I had started. There was no such thing as active shooter training in the academy.
Right.
Now they have it. Now they have all these things where they're figuring out that after all, they studied 20 years worth of active shooter events and saw, okay, we've changed our tactics. We're no longer waiting outside for SWAT to come and take care of things. Officers are going in and taking care of it. The problem is once officers go in there and take care of it, now we have to clear it for firefighters to come in to take care of people. So what they're training now is go in, stop the killing. Next, stop the dying, stop people from bleeding out, which is what was happening. And then evacuate them for care. Because if that golden hour, if they're not in an operating room within an hour, that's where they will lose people. So that's what this program is teaching. It's a 16-hour, 2-day program because you go in and you do different events based on former active shooter events. They do these trainings and they have officers do them again and again with the fire department, bring them into these teams and bring them in to help people and evacuate the wounded. Part of that program also is that you have to do 16 hours over the next 2 years to stay up on it, basically. It's like if you have how often do you go bowling? And the last time you bowled, you go out, you do it for the first time in a while, what happens? Exactly. When officers and firefighters aren't training this constantly, you're losing those perishable skills. It's plain and simple. So that's why they're putting this into place to have this happen.
As a result of that, the mandated training now is coming to effect this upcoming year. So we could just break down some of the mandatory trainings now we have. If you want, we can go over them, the cost, or you could see, one of our biggest line items that went up was our comp OT other, and that's a result of the increased trainings. The additional funding we need for the training this upcoming year alone is $35,000. And that, on the second page that we provided today, it shows you the breakdown of the mandatory training.
Yeah.
The firearms qual-in training, the taser training, harassment training, active shooter training, in-person CPR training, and then That's it on the mandatory training,
Yeah.
but that gives you the breakdown of the cost.
That's not including the things that we can do on shift, like the in-service that we're doing online. We are having people do that on shift, so that this is not included with this. This is like the hands-on CPR.
Yeah,
where You
yeah.
can't do that on shift.
No.
But we
The
brought a lot of the
firearms.
training online, so we don't have to send them away for overtime. We're down for in-service. We bring it all in-house, and that way they can
That was a
rotate it
good
through.
idea.
So we cut down our OT quite dramatically by
Yeah.
doing that, bringing everything online.
Yeah,
With these other.
That we can.
Yeah, with these other mandated trainings, like part of that 16 hours every 2 years, you have to do a full-scale exercise and/or tabletop exercises. And again, that's for that repetition to keep people up, so they're able to have those skills and not get out there and be like, okay, now what do I do?
And this is all due to post-reform.
Okay, can you tell me about body cams? Is that,
So body cams, we've had going back, just to give a little history on it, we wrote a grant. We were able to acquire all the body cam equipment through a state grant, fully funded. The associations, the unions were in negotiations with the town to carry the body cams. We're gonna be moving ahead with the body cams. As a part of that, we have a 5-year lease program. The first year was last year that we paid, we came up with the money out of one of our other line items of training, and we were able to come up with that. So we have at least 4 more installments of the $6,500. We should be implementing body cams, if everything goes smoothly, by July 1st.
did you say you got them through a grant, though?
We got the body cam, the equipment, approximately 2 years ago through a state grant, correct?
There's the software.
Oh, the
But there's a software and services that you have to any type of, any type of applications that we acquire, there's an annual service, and that's to keep up with equipment. They replace it as they come up with a new firmware, to get all the constant, research and development, the newest, latest. So when they're coming up with some new cameras right now, they're actually gonna be trading out all our current cameras for brand-new cameras, the most latest version, free of charge, and that's a part of the overall 5-year plan for the software and services.
Can't use the GoPro, huh?
Not quite.
Not nowadays.
And of course, that cost is kind of like Windows 365. You can't just buy it once now, you have to get on a program and
Right.
buying it every year.
There's always the residual with any type of application we
That's how it is
have.
with any of the software now.
I mean, pretty much everywhere else, we've kept it pretty much level.
So on the lease, it's the 2 cruisers and 2 motorcycles. You already have the motorcycles, you've already been into it for a year,
Correct,
and there's 2 years left next year and the year after on that.
correct. It's a 3-year lease, so actually, we'll be going into this June or July, we'll be going into the 2nd year, and then there'll be an additional year after that.
Great.
What we're able to do is, we had an older motorcycle that we're able to auction off through municipal bid. The DPW was a great help with that. And with that, we're able to fund the leases for last year with the funds that we raised through auction off the other
no, that was
motorcycle.
great.
What's that?
That's great.
Oh, yeah, no, it's awesome. And now, after speaking with, John Haynes at DPW and Dave, we looked at some lease options for the cruisers, and it's gonna help us out dramatically as well, so.
So when the bikes are done in 2 years, those aren't things you would replace every 3 or 4 years. They last a little while, right?
Yeah, and
Well, the
yeah.
bikes are a different lease, they're
The
not.
bi-
a lease
They're
to
a
own.
different lease. They're a
Not a
3-year
lease to own.
lease.
Not a lease to
No.
own?
No. But they provide that, those are fully equipped motorcycles that they've fully equipped. How it works is, so after the 3 years, technically you just keep it going, unless you did purchase them. But you just keep it going, and what you do is you own the equipment on them, and they just, in 3 years, they'll take the new equipment they just put on last year and put it on the next bike for the next 3 years. And then after 6 years, usually we have to turn the equipment over. Just like with the cruisers, we try to get all our equipment de-installed and reinstalled in our new cruisers so we could at least get 6, 7 years out of the equipment, as opposed to, just every time we get a new cruiser, we don't replace with all new stuff. We do take stuff from, so we'll do the same thing with the motorcycles
But
when
with
their
the-
lease is up.
With the cruisers, though, this is gonna be a lease to own. When they
Right.
put the equipment in it,
Yeah.
we're leasing it to own that.
So is there a buyout on this lease for the motorcycles?
For the motorcycles, at the end of 3 years, you do have a buyout option. So they offer you, like, it's whatever the residual value is after the 3 years. So,
Can you do a
And then you
buyout
can
during the
lease.
lease now? Because if we work with this other company, it may end up being well worth.
that's a quite, And the lease is technically year to year. We signed it for 3 years, but we can go year to year if we wanted to break it. So that's something, an option I could look at as
I'd
well.
like you to check out if we can buy out the lease now.
Oh,
and see
definitely.
how it will work with the company that we're working with on the cruises.
Yeah, just like with these cruisers, technically, we own them, they title them, we insure them. There's just a lien on them until we pay them off, but that way, we're able to spread it out over the next 3 years.
All right.
So what about the buyout? So I mean, the 2 cruisers are gonna be 80,000 per year per lease. Is there any balloon payment at the end?
Nope.
Nope,
No?
Nope.
Thanks to Mr. Haynes, he introduced us to this program that he uses for the DPW. It's been very helpful. It's good. It
Nice.
helps us quite a bit.
the average lease, it breaks down to pay about 26 and change a year, so it's a no-brainer technically for us now to look at.
And this is gonna allow him to get 3 cruises every 3 years, instead of 2 every year. So we get the same 6 and 6, we get 6 over the 3 years.
Yeah.
So-
Give us a break.
Yeah.
Sadly, the cost of everything's gone up dramatically. To outfit 2 cruises nowadays, like Dave said, it cost us last year $148,000 and change, $150,000 with everything, so.
All right, any other questions? Well, we'll further digest this, and as we get further into the budget season and we talk with the finance expert over there in the corner, Melanie, we'll see what we can do.
Any questions, anything, don't hesitate. We really appreciate your time, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
You're on your own, boss.
Good luck.
Appreciate the props.
You want us to sit with you, or you all right?
I think I have the presentation whittled down to about an hour and a half.
John, it's up to you, because the night's yours. So,
Let's go.
No, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to come and discuss our proposed FY 2026.
so you have some good news and bad news. What do you want first?
I like the bad news. I like to just get it out of the way.
The bad news is, we don't have a quorum here tonight. We're short one. The good news is, we found your request for transfer.
I wonder where Eddie was. Went through all that, and he didn't show up for him, blew me off. But, well, that's okay. We're recorded, so he can watch and review.
4 of 7? Yeah, 4 of 7.
Yeah, 4 of 7. I'm thinking we're 2 people short, right? Yeah, you're right. Okay. John,
We're
got some
legit.
better good news for you.
It's all good news tonight.
It's all good. See, I'm glad I asked for the bad news first.
This is why I got you guys. All right, give me a break. All right, so we have a cap transfer request of $24,376.21. And this was the waste pipe in the crawl space we talked about before that had to be replaced in the central school. And it ended up being a lot longer than you had thought it was gonna be, right?
Correct, significantly longer. I am actually, I told him I wasn't gonna bring him up, but I'm gonna defer to Brian, our facilities manager, who is intimately involved in this situation and can
Right up to the elbows?
literally, head first.
Oh,
Most of that, all of that waste line is in the crawl space under the central school. It's a 5-inch cast iron pipe that was installed in 1950. It's also down there with steam pipe, so it's not a great atmosphere to be in for pipe. A lot of the pipe is filled, it's corroded, and it was leaking. And we ended up replacing 120 feet of it. Wow. The plumbing inspector allowed us to put it back with 5-inch PVC and not cast iron. Because we had a problem getting 10-foot lengths of pipe down there through a crawl space hole. But it all worked out quite well.
All right.
We had actually had to cut a manhole access into that space.
Several years ago, we cut a manhole on the back side of the building and cut a hole in the foundation to provide access to that crawl space, because there was only a small little hole in the boiler room to crawl through the dirt to get in there. That was the only access. So to give a safer access, we went outside, put a manhole there, cut a hole in the foundation, and we can get in that way.
And was this, what do they call it?
Confined
Confined
space, to
space
access the
entry, yes.
space, we still have to utilize a confined space entry system.
All right, well, let's take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the capital transfer for the waste line.
Of how much?
Have it in front of me.
$24,376.
Of 24,000.
21 cents.
What she said.
Of what, of Karen said.
Okay, a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
That was me now, boss.
Now you can,
Okay.
you got our money, leave.
We got it.
And not, question I always ask, I'm not entirely sure what format you have budget presentation, whether
We
it's in
have
our
this
Excel.
beautiful one.
Beautiful, good. We're working off the same page, the Excel spreadsheets, good. That has led to some confusion in past years. Good. And I believe you have our business manager, Lynn, worked to, when we met with our liaisons, they had requested that we update to actuals. So we have, the budgets in front of you should be actual as of the end of February,
February.
2/28.
Nice.
It gives it a little more realistic
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always helpful.
to look at what
So-
our actuals are at this point.
DPW division, so you've got the,
Yeah, so again, I think everyone's heard my spiel, but just for those who have maybe forgot, the viewers at home, we actually work, DPW is an umbrella department. We have multiple divisions that fall within the purview of the Department of Public Works. 5 of those divisions are what we refer to as general funded, so those are funded through, the taxpayer, the tax revenue, and then we have 2 that are, that utilize enterprise accounts. So those are actually almost little small businesses that operate within the structure of the DPW, those being the water department and our solid waste department and recycling division. We will also refer to those as essentially off-budget because they don't have an impact on the general budget per se. So we look at those a little bit different, but from a overall perspective, we have been able to meet the financial request for this year, the -1%.
so John, I'm on the first page where it says DPW admin, and I see that the budget submittal for 26, like highway and land management, snow removal, the 425 that we put in there every year, fleet maintenance, but I don't see anything in there for facilities maintenance.
That's the orange line. Facilities maintenance is a -1%, so it's,
Mine says reference.
Where?
Mine, I see this?
Oh,
You have it?
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe because it's on Google Sheets instead of the other one. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, this would be in the
You know
Excel
what?
format.
yeah. Hold on.
That's okay. You answered my question.
And it does, when you get your formula figured out there, it does reflect the 1%.
Well, you said that like this with the formulas.
I was just gonna show you the number if you want me
Okay, let me just copy.
to. Oh, you're being saved right now.
Oh, good.
Old school. Thank you, Lynn.
Except I can't enlarge this. Okay, all right.
Do you need glasses? I have an extra pair.
I can see this.
Okay.
So again, the overall general government funded DPW division represents a 1% reduction.
Okay. Solid waste,
And recycling.
Solid waste and recycling contractually, our obligation goes up annually, as well as, so contractually, it's based on the CPI, and it goes up typically between 4.5% to 5% per year, as well as we have pass-through costs for our disposal. Our tonnage for solid waste for municipal trash is set at an annual adjustment, but our recyclables, it's variable. It fluctuates throughout
fluctuates
the
with the
year.
market, and right now it's not
The
good.
market's not great for really any recyclable materials. The one area that is cardboard, thanks to
Yeah.
Amazon.
So.
I remember what you told us last year. I think about you every day. Isn't that weird?
So for clarification, the revenue offset, solid
blushing.
waste basically offsets itself, right?
Correct. Correct.
So
We're
it comes
actually
from the
net
fees that
positive.
we collect and
Yeah.
stuff,
It's,
so that's an offset.
That's actually, we're trending in the right direction. For years, we were actually losing revenue, and had to dig into this the stabilization portion, the enterprise account, to offset those costs. Currently, we're trending in the right direction. I say currently because next year our contract expires and we'll have to go out to bid. And I've not seen anything fall in price.
Yeah, no.
Are you still seeing more people convert to the town service?
It's begun to stabilize. We're at about 3,300. But, yeah, on average, we're adding somewhere between 50 and 75 customers per year because of the things we've talked about in the past. But, our costs are somewhat controlled, and we can tell you this is what your fee's gonna be annually. The smaller independents are much more market variable, and, so their cost, plus a number of things that they may have collected as part of their program, they now charge an additional fee for. And therefore, we do see people start to shift over.
But haven't we seen a lot of, also with those independents, a lot of changeover? They've been bought out.
Consolidation,
Consolidation,
incredible amount of
exactly.
consolidation.
Which has gotten some people frustrated.
Yeah.
Correct. You're no longer a simple phone call, a lot of it is automated computer. So I still feel, for the program we have, we offer a very fair value for our residents, and try to make it as convenient as possible and consistent. That's the other thing. The consistency of our program, where again, when you're working with independents, if they have a breakdown or something like that, that may mean, it's a few days before your
Skipped
trash
or-
gets
yeah,
picked up
exactly.
or such. So I think when you're dealing with trash, people like consistency.
Okay,
3,300.
and water division, everything's flowing smoothly there? Did you catch that?
That's fun. Yeah, that was a good one. Yes, so our water operations with us tonight is our new water and sewer superintendent, Brian McSweeney. He's here just to kind of get the other side of the business.
But he's been with you for a while.
He actually was.
Got certified?
Yes, Brian was with us, worked with us and advanced up. He was actually the foreman of our distribution system, left for a couple of years, and when Jason left, he came back to us, and it's working out very, very well. He's been with us about 6 months now.
How do you like it, Brian?
It's great,
Is it?
been good, yeah.
Okay. Wait till the water turns brown.
We fixed that.
You guys fixed that. Don't
We
go
fixed
back
that.
there.
I wouldn't be here if we hadn't. I always say that. Had that
Just changed out our toilets again to white toilets, so we
had
don't have
not
to worry
worked
about,
out.
because we don't have to worry about.
Snow removal, so as of end of February, that's where you were at.
Correct.
And we do have to fund it at that number anyway, the 425 every year now, because that's where we're at. So for this year, some of the things that, you're gonna be able to utilize that funding in other areas?
Well, we'll utilize some of that funding. Again, one of the things that's been very beneficial for us is we have been filling the salt shed in the current fiscal year at the end of the season.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It presents again, no, I haven't seen any prices go down over the 20-plus years of doing this. So we're able to purchase at this year's pricing.
Yeah,
And utilize that.
it's a great idea.
That helps a lot, because honestly, almost a third of this budget, of that $425,000 is
Salt.
directly related to the cost of salt. It
Yeah.
varies anywhere from year to year between 60 to as much as $80 a ton, depending on the year. We had a more active winter than this year. I do still preface everyone that, this really has not been a normal winter. And so this $425,000, when we adjusted it back in, I believe it was 2021, was predicated on a 5-year average. So that was the number for, say, 2015 to 2020 that we were spending on average. And we took out 2015 because that was the outlier
Huge
year
year.
that we all have PTSD from, if you
Yeah,
look
we
through
do.
that. And adjusted this to be representative of the costs. at that period. Now, we all know since 2021, costs have dramatically
Yeah.
increased for labor, equipment repair, materials, things like that. We've, again, managed well, and I think, we try to be proactive in this. One of the things, like purchasing salt now, so that it doesn't come out of next year's operating, in case we do have a more difficult winter next year, we're better positioned.
Yeah, well, it goes back, I mean, we were funding it at, what, $50,000 a year forever.
Literally
Every
forever.
town meeting, we'd have to go in and allocate the balance off.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, this is a
I'm
better way
sure
to
at
do
some
it.
point in time, not in the very near future, though, John, I'm telling you.
No, and
We're gonna have to look at that in 5-year trends and make some
Right.
adjustments and stuff.
I mean, for right now,
Because of the cost,
the last-
right now, we're covered.
yeah, the last 3 years, it's
Except
Mother
for-
Nature has been kind to us.
Yeah, don't say that so loud. As soon as we start saying, thank God we don't have a lot of you-know-what.
No, but what we are
Big
beginning to
storm.
experience more and more are these long durations of ice,
Yeah,
which
and
are,
cold.
so, again,
Okay.
right now, we're in good shape for snow and ice. I'm glad I'm not here asking for $150,000 to $250,000 more because of,
Well, it's already melted, I wouldn't give it to you anyway.
right, well, I remember in April when we came back, and in April of 2015, everybody had kind of forgotten it had snowed. I was like, remember February? It wasn't that long ago.
Day after day after day.
And quickly, while I got you here, because this was pretty smooth, is on Capitol this year.
Yes.
We have a meeting coming up, I know that.
Monday, correct?
Yeah, and so you're looking at dump
There's
trucks
CapEx,
and
yeah.
the lease, that's not built into this budget, right?
Correct. We fund that through other, the dump trucks are eligible to be funded through Chapter 90,
Okay,
which we have used successfully in the past.
How many, are you looking for more?
We're looking to
Yes.
replace
Two.
two dump trucks, again, utilizing the same operational
Yep.
lease program. That's worked very effectively for us for years. It really, from 2005 to 2018, we utilized that program and didn't rely on capital funds at all to maintain our fleet. We have a fleet of nearly 50 pieces of equipment. So, and what that does is take some of the burden off of capital capital planning, so that they can take the limited dollars they have and utilize them in other areas and get a few more projects done, maybe a few more
we don't
streets
have
paved.
too many to do this year.
No, we don't. Well, and, but to the town's credit, we've made significant investments in our capital, from buildings, roads, program, I
Well-
think there's something to be said for
We
that.
played a lot of catch-up, because for a long period of time, we didn't do anything.
Correct.
So it's great to see. I mean, these roads 20 years ago
It was
were different.
a difficult situation, let me tell you.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. but-
Yeah, we have over a million square yards of pavement in the town of East Bridgewater.
Yeah, Cottage Street got a little bit.
We gave it a little attention.
Yeah,
Still needs some infrastructure repair, but at least it's passable,
yeah, exactly.
the period.
All right. Do you folks have any questions for John?
No, I love DPW.
Do you?
I do.
You're doing schools next year,
Glad somebody does.
so, okay. All right. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
You got all that? Okay.
And two
And
screens.
did we sign off the?
Yep.
All right. Does anybody else got anything to bring to the committee? No? With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.